Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Alright. Chapter 17. All we have to do is turn the forever hourglass. Luna cries, pointing to the timepiece clutched in the Tooth Fairy's hands, and Halloween Town's time will reset. What would be simple enough? That would be simple enough, Tooth Fairy says, giving a sly petter to her butterfly. God dang it. Butterfly fringed eyelashes. If it was in your possession. Frustrated tears flash in Luna's eyes, her hands fall at her side, slacken as she swallows a sob. Scorch extinguishes his tail flame so he can wipe away. Wrap a protective tail around her shoulder. Anger makes me stand tall. Tell me what you want. I address the Tooth Fairy with a firm command. I've had enough years of dealing with these mischief makers. With those mischief makers lock, shock, and barrel to know that it's best just to indulge in games. The only way to deal with a troublemaker is directly. If it's within my power as queen, I shall give it to you. The Tooth Fairy taps a finger. The Tooth Fairy taps a finger theatrically against her pursed lips. Now what? Now that you've told me how valuable this thing is, maybe I'm not inclined to trade it after all. I hiss out a breath, dipping into my well of patience as I assens the. Hang on, I might have mispronounced that. Assess the hodgepodge objects scattered around the garden house. A pot of leprechaun gold, a wrapped Christmas present, a flat jar of cranberry relish, all treasures from holiday worlds. I'll give you our best scarecrow, her nose wrinkles to plain, a hearse pulled by a skeleton horse to morbid. Silver dollar coins from the eyes of the dead. I cry, groaning, exasperated. As many as will fill your moat. Many will fill your moat. She peeks down at the sea of coins from the human world surrounding her house. Do I look like I need more coins? My molars clench so tight that I'm afraid they will crack. I've listed off the most valuable items in Halloween Town. What else could I offer? The dry leaves in my chest poke at my lungs like they'll shred me up inside. At a toss, I turn to Luna and Scorch. Luna sniffles, wiping away her tears determinedly. She combs the curtain of bangs out from her face, lifts her chin and calls out in a decisive voice, a porch pouch of dream sand. It will put even the most wide-awake child into a deep slumber when you come to collect the tooth from under their pillow. I hold my breath, my anticipation swinging like a pendulum between, my attention swinging like a pendulum between Luna and the Tooth Fairy. A small seed of hope takes root in my chest. Albert and Greta are highly protective of the sand produced in Dreamtown's factory, but I'm confident they will hand over a pouch to save my adopted town. The Tooth Fairy's eyes gleam like prized gemstones. Her head cocks as she considers the offer. I catch Luna's eye to give her a nod of encouragement. The stuffing in her chest puffs up with pride. Then the Tooth Fairy cackles? Yeah, that's cackles. Dream sand is powerful, true, but your dream weavers already do the hardest work for us. All we have to do is wait for them to visit a child's room first, then swoop in. Luna's face falls, my hope sinks too. Like a cinder block plunged into the pit of my stomach. Desperate, I pat my empty pockets, comb through my hair, even twist my own wedding ring on my finger. No, not that. There's more than a circle of polished bone. It's more than a circle of polished bone. It's a promise of a life together, a symbol of a future what Jack and I yearn for, but nothing, but none of that will exist unless I can turn the forever hourglass. Forever glass. Yeah, but none of that will exist unless I can turn the forever glass. Jack will understand, I tell myself, and as my stomach twists into lopsided tuffle? What? Oh, I misread that. Twists in topsy-turvy knots, I start to slip the ring off my finger. Just as I pull it towards my finger's tip, Scorch steps forward and shouts, "A dragon's tooth!" The entire garden grove falls silent. Even the June bugs seem to pause their lazy dance. The breeze barely ruffles a strand of crimson hair on my head. The smirk disappears from the Tooth Fairy's mouth. She blinks a few times as if trying to clear her vision. "What did you say? A dragon's tooth," Scorch repeats, stretching his long neck, so that his full height towers over the garden. "Not just any tooth, one of my fangs." My breath caught as I recall Pearl's revelation. A dragon is the only creature that does not lose its teeth. So of course a dragon's tooth, especially the fang, is the ultimate prize for a tooth collector. Yeah, but how are you going to get it out? The Tooth Fairy purses her lips. Now that is interesting. I rest a hand on Scorch's shoulder. His scales feel so warm and alive, like a sun-kissed stone in the peak of summer. Though I'm deeply touched by his offer, I can only imagine how essential fangs are to a dragon. After all, what would the wolfman do without his canines, or the vampires without their sharp teeth? Softly, I say, you don't have to do this, Scorch. Scorch's watery eyes well up with guilt. Halloween Town is lost in time because of Scorch. A ping. Yeah, that's what. A pang knots in my side. We can find another way. His massive head drags back and forth in the glass castle. You gave up your own hands to save your loved ones. You showed Scorch the meaning of sacrifice, the meaning of a hero. This is not always swords and shields. Some sacrifices are quiet yet mighty. I'm so deeply touched that the leafy stuffing around my heart squeezes like a winter scarf. My hands, with a mind of their own, tickle his chin affectionately. He gives a grin. A smile briefly breaks out on my own face too, but then flattens. A hero also admits when they're wrong. I add in a quiet voice, meant just for the two of us. You aren't a villain, Scorch, not at all. You can be whatever you want. His tongue pokes around his crooked left tooth. Hang on, did I read that right? Yeah, his tongue pokes around his crooked left fang as though sealing it to memory while he still can. Scorch wants to do this. Oh, you marvelous dragon, Luna peppers his snout with velvety kisses. The tooth fairy breaks the fragile moment with a stomp of her foot. My heart barely stops. Suspended in time for fear she'll turn down yet another offer. She crosses her arms over her chest, her lips firm to a straight line, to a straight line. But then her mouth shifts, a warm smile, dots dimples on her cheeks. Hang on. Okay. You have a deal, dragon. A fang for the forever glass. You'll get your town back, pumpkin queen. I clap my hands to my mouth, but even so, I can't hold in my happy sobs after unnumbered hardships, quests across strange worlds, and even traveling time itself. I finally going to have Jack back. Luna and I gather Scorch in a fierce embrace as grateful tears soak our cheeks. My eyes fall closed, whispers of thanks from my lips. The dragon smells like candle wax and autumn leaves. Smells I've always associated with Halloween, but will now forever be seamed in my heart as the essence of a dragon. When we finally part, Scorch holds his toothy jaw open wide enough while Luna gently wiggles his left fang with her two hands. She comes so far from the shy, aspiring writer I first met at the governor's residence with daydreams in her eyes and bangs in her face. Now she's reaching into a dragon's mouth. I'm surprised we all had our quests to go on. I suppose we all had our own quests to go on. In a way, Luna grew up protected and loved. Childhood I always yearned for, but also sheltered. She needed to close one of her bedtime stories, set it aside, and step out her door on her own adventure. Finally, with a slight oomph from Scorch, the tooth pops out cleanly. Luna huffs the 6-inch tooth in the bed of her silky palms. Marveling at the size before offering it to me, I shake my head. You make the trade, Luna. You were my assistant, then an adventurer, now an ambassador. I can't wait to see what path you'll take next. Her soft fingers curl in awe around the tooth. She spares a moment for a deep breath, then shoulders thrown back, climbs the garden house stairs, and presents the dragon tooth to the tooth fairy with a bow in her head. Tooth fairy, we offer you this rare addition to your collection, she announces, in exchange for the forever glass. The tooth fairy draws herself up theatrically, adjusting the antenna, braided into a feathery crown, and gives her wings an extra flutter. Luna slumberly from Dreamtown, Scorch from Fabletown, and Sally the Pumpkin Queen. She nods deeply to each of us. I accept your trade. But before she holds out the forever glass to Luna, a guilty wrinkle breaks across her nose. I'm only sorry about the whole screwing up time thing. By the way, I didn't realize the forever glass's power from now on. From now on, I'll be more careful about making sure what I take is truly cast off. I merely dip my head politely as Luna accepts the forever glass. It's heavy in her small fabric arms, and her knees teeter as she descends the stairs. Scorch rushes forward to scoop up Luna and the forever glass onto his back before she buckles under its weight. Then trots over to me. He lowers his head so Luna can gracefully dismount. Her eyes sparkle as she taps the forever glass into my waiting arms. Tips the forever glass into my waiting arms. You should be the one to return it, Sally. The timepiece falls like a boulder into the circle of my arms. My muscles strain out, expecting its heft. Its solid brass frame is polished to a mesmerizing brilliance. The crystals within look like sand, but I know they are inertia stones, ground with expert precision. A whisper overcome by awe. All three of us should turn it. Luna and Scorch hesitate, transfixed by the timepiece's rare beauty. Finally, Luna places her cloth hands on the bottom base. Scorch wraps his claws around the top. I grasp the golden bar, making up the frame. 1, I breathe. 2, Luna whispers. 3, our voices combine like a spell, and we turn the forever glass. The sands of the hourglass funnel downward, draining from the upper chamber like a long overdue rainstorm, and I do not think I take a single breath. I do not take a single breath until the grain has fallen. The pool of gleaming white crystals is so perfect still that I can almost imagine where we've somehow paused time again. Luna whispers finally break the silence. Did it work? A cold breeze tickles the hair along the base of my neck, catching the strands so that they don't weave between the dancing June bugs. Flower petals dot in the air, and amongst the mid-honey smell of foxgloves, there's a trace of enchantment in the garden. Scorch taps his face to the sunlight, fluttering through the overhead trees, closing his eyes to bask in the warmth. Tiny pixies flutter around Luna's head, for once too cautious to be concerned with stealing our baubles. My eyes skim across the cotton puff cloud overhead, a world away in a land of amethyst mountains and ticking clocks. Did the magic in the Halloween clock restart? Did the tiny wooden skeleton figure dance? Are the hands sweeping clockwise in a never-ending pattern? Quick, I say, spinning towards Scorch. The mirror of reverence. He noses around his satchel, then gently clasps his teeth around the handle to extend it to me as I take it in my hand. My hands are slick, my heartbeat a wild gallop. I'm afraid to peer into its surface. Eye of silver, wisdom glean, show me the truth unseen. I'd like to see Halloween Town. The mirror slicks surface ripples as magic begins to take shape. I immediately recognize the Earl of Spiral Hill, but that has existed in all time, past, present, and future, so it doesn't tell me anything definitive. I step back so the mirror pans out, revealing mossy tombstones beneath the hill spiraling shadows. That's it, the cemetery exists. Carefully I turn the mirror to see more of the town. It pans over the creaking fence where the black cat who slips in my herb garden slinks after a grasshopper. Out of frame, the town band plays a solemn dirge that my ears know by heart. Finally, town hall comes into view. The banner hangs to welcome the ambassadors for the exchange program. The mayor teeter-totters out the double doors like a spooked bat, his head rotating wildly between his two faces as he lifts his megaphone. Jack, he bellows, can you explain what's going on? How much time has passed? Sally and Luna simply vanished. Jack strides out of town hall, stretching his head. Townspeople and the ambassador spell out behind him, looking equally discombobulated. I hold my breath, afraid to move, as if it will break this miraculous vision. Jack, I murmur, eyes filled with longing. Look, Luna. Look, Luna says, pointing at the mirror. The countdown clock at Town Hall reads 3 days until Halloween. It was 5 days before Halloween when we fell through the vortex. My eyes flood with barrels of tears. That means Halloween is caught back up to the present, the same time as the rest of the holiday towns. We did it. The three of us together, a queen, a dragon, a dreamer, wayward souls from different worlds. I throw out my arms like I could take wing and soar, tapping my face towards the sun-kissed clouds. I try to contain my bursting emotions. Soon I'll hold Jack again, play fetch with Zero, walk the windy pumpkin patch, watch, watch my musty spellbook. My people look at me for guidance as their queen, and now I can look back at them proudly with the promise that I'll never let harm fall our beloved town. I've seen more than one possible future, one filled with laughter, one filled with destruction. Together, we will forge the right path. I let my arms fall at my sides. Lady Lore's mirror dangles from my left hand. Father Time's wristwatch. Yeah. Circles the right one on impulse. I untie the leather strap for too much of my life I've lived in the wrong time. Shackled by my past, fearful of my future, I haven't even truly lived in the now. I sweep up my head to cast the watch into the garden, but then pause and decide to keep the watch for now. The air is filled with impish pixies. The last thing we need is for the sticky finger sprites to have their hands on it. Clutching the mirror in the crook of my arm, the last image I see in its surface is Jack peering curiously in my direction, as though even through time and space he can feel me close, and I never been more ready to go home to him. That is the end of chapter 17. We'll be starting up chapter 18 later. Thank you for coming by. Hope you enjoyed it.